Thank you, Senator Avella, for convening this hearing on a matter that is of utmost urgency to all New Yorkers. My name is Ellen Weininger. I'm the Educational Outreach Coordinator for Grassroots Environmental Education. Grassroots Environmental Education is an environmental health nonprofit focused on the relationship between environmental toxins and human health. We are particularly concerned about children's unique vulnerability to toxic exposures due to their immature organs and developing bodies, making it more difficult for them to eliminate certain toxins. Due to their size, children receive proportionally greater doses of chemical contaminants found in air, water, and food. Even a small exposure occurring during a critical window of a child's development could result in permanent adverse health outcomes. We are very concerned about high-volume slick water hydraulic fracturing for natural gas extraction and its effects its widespread use will have on the people of New York State, especially young children. Contamination of our air, water, and soil are inherent risks in the fracking process and therefore unacceptable by any standard. We've already heard countless testimonies regarding the various impacts on potential impacts on water, the certainty of air pollution, the issues of wastewater disposal and radon, and also our food supplies. So I will just take an excerpt from my written testimony to present to you orally. Despite those serious threats to public health and the environment from fracking operations and glaring flaws and gaps in the skies, the document states that shale gas development would provide substantial economic and environmental benefits, and I emphasize benefits, and not harvesting this important energy source would be contrary to New York State and national interests. Furthermore, and producing in-state natural gas would contribute to meeting climate change, public health, and environmental objectives. This utterly false statement was used by the New York State DEC to reject the no-action alternative in Section 9.1, which would prohibit permitting of high-volume horizontal hydraulic fracturing and shale gas development in this state. This begs the question, what are we doing here? This claim this claim of substantial economic and environmental benefits, public health benefits, and so forth are baseless and does not factor in public costs, which have already been outlined, and dismisses the inherent risks that shale gas development poses to New York State's air, water, and land, which cannot be mitigated. In fact, this evidence would lead us to the opposite conclusion, which would be to exercise the alternative of no action. So I'd like to, we would very much be grateful to hold the New York State DC accountable for where's the evidence for these claims. The public health costs have been covered as an issue that has been a glaring omission in the SGICE. Not only around contaminated food supplies, public health care costs regarding water pollution and air pollution, but also special education needs costs of impacts on children with regard to those health care costs. Children are our most vulnerable population, and they are not considered nor mentioned in the SGICE. It's already been stated that numerous medical associations and healthcare groups and health advocacy groups have already signed on to numerous letters, given testimony, and countless warnings to the governor, the DOH, and the DEC, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, and also the recent call for a national moratorium by a group of leading medical experts. A comprehensive health impact assessment should be conducted and led by independent public health experts in an open public process in cooperation with the New York State Legislature. We support S6772 Avella. We'd also like to take note, have the panel take note that in 2010, the President's Cancer Panel, in its annual report recommendations to government, industry, and healthcare professionals, stated opportunities for eliminating or minimizing cancer-causing and cancer-promoting environmental exposures must be acted upon to protect all Americans, but especially children. They are at special risk due to their smaller body mass and rapid physical development, both of which magnify their vulnerability to known or suspected carcinogens. Numerous environmental contaminants can cross the placental barrier to a disturbing extent. Babies are born pre-polluted. Children can also be harmed by genetic or other damage resulting from environmental exposure sustained by the mother and, in some cases, the father. A recent analysis by Dr. Leo Trasande, published in the journal Health Affairs, was updated, and that recent report found that the cost of environmentally triggered diseases such as childhood cancer, asthma, neurological disorders is now at $76.6 billion as of 2008 per year for children alone. Dr. Trasande states that the analysis reemphasizes for policymakers the implications of failing to prevent toxic chemical exposures not only for the health of children but also for the health of the economy. New York State has experienced great success where environmental health issues are concerned. We've worked with other states to our west to protect our air and our land from the air-polluting industries. We find industries that illegally dump toxic chemicals into lakes and other bodies of water, and at significant expense, we've restored our great rivers and smaller waterways that have been polluted by industries, and there are countless other examples. In fact, the New York State Advisory Panel on Green Procurement recently voted to approve a guidance policy requiring all New York State agencies to consider avoiding 85 chemicals of concern in products purchased by the state. The hydrofracking process uses a significant number of chemicals from that list that are known or suspected carcinogens, such as benzene, formaldehyde, and naphthalene. If hydrofracking is permitted, New York State residents will be exposed to the very same toxic chemicals that the Green Procurement Executive Order intended to minimize, seriously jeopardizing public health. Positive efforts that have been undertaken to protect the health and safety of the people of New York State have been effective, and this is the kind of environmental protection the people of New York expect from leadership in Albany. The best way to avoid the negative human health and environmental impacts and economic burden of toxic exposures is to avoid them, prevent them, and from ever happening, using the precautionary principle. Children and their parents rely on government officials to provide the protections they need for their health and safety.
Can I ask you to sum up?
The stakes are too high to deliver anything less than the passage of a ban on hydrofracking in New York State, which would also include the ban of fracking waste, which needs to be legally defined as hazardous waste, from being transported from out of state for disposal or use for any other purpose here in New York. Thank you.